Hi, this is Carl Kruger of Accreditation, looking at the ISO 17025 Laboratory Competence Standard. Clause 7, Process Requirements. Clause 7 is the core of laboratory operations, how you handle samples, carry out tests, and report the results. So 7.1, the review of requests, tenders, and contracts. Laboratories must ensure that they understand and can meet client needs. The consultant will deal with that by creating a request review form to ensure clear communication. This will establish what the client wants in a very precise detail and allow it to be compared with the known capabilities of the laboratory so that they can be competent and confident about being able to produce the results necessary to meet the client's needs. 7.2, Selection, Verification and Validation of Methods. Test methods must be suitable and validated. The consultant will guide method selection and help validate them for the relevant ISO standards. The key point here is that to carry out a laboratory test, you have to be clear which test methodologies are used and how those test results are confirmed. And unless you can do that and demonstrate that you've done it correctly, the results you'll get aren't going to be any good. 7.3 relates to sampling. Representative sampling ensures accurate results. This is a major issue for any test scenario. You cannot necessarily test every single item, especially if the test is destructive in its nature. Consequently, you must sample, take a selection of the entire population. But how you do that in a way that can be designed to represent what is going on in the entire sample is vitally important. So the consultant will help by standardizing the sampling procedure by utilizing training and operating the sampling processes under formally accepted methodologies, written down and recorded for future traceability. Then we get to clause 7.4, handling of test or calibration items. Items must be managed to prevent contamination or mix-ups. So what we're referring to here is when you have a sample, you mustn't be handling it bare-handed, you must use gloves, it must be in an air-controlled scenario, and other contaminants must not be allowed to become involved, nor must the surrounding environment interact with it inappropriately. Consultant's approach, therefore, is to implement clear labeling and storage protocols. Without that, you've no idea which sample is which and where or how it was prepared. Clause 7.5 relates to technical records. Complete records ensure traceability and repeatability. They define the full layout of what you did, how you did it, when you did it, where you did it, who did it, and confirm that you followed the appropriate methodology. The consultant's approach, therefore, is to design templates for result recording and version control so that the records showing all of this are accurately maintained. Clause 7.6 relates to the evaluation of measurement uncertainty. Uncertainty in measurement is a given. There's always uncertainty involved. The level of that and the impact of that uncertainty may vary from test to test. Either which way, it must be quantified and documented. The consultant approach will provide tools and training for uncertainty budgets. This is an expression used specifically in this standard so that where you have a series of uncertainties, you know how to assimilate them to come up with an overall uncertainty margin so that the end results can be given with that information tagged on so that the reader understands quite how accurate or not the results are. Clause 7.7 relates to ensuring the validity of the results. Ongoing checks here are essential. Are you doing it right? Has anything changed? Is the environment still safe? Are the labeling still correct? Are you recording things correct? All of the previous ones, but making sure it's continuous. So the consultant's approach here is to introduce quality control tools like control charts and PT participation. This allows the staff undertaking the tests to demonstrate that they have carried out what they're supposed to do correctly each time. 7.8 relates to reporting of results. Reports must be clear, accurate, and appropriately formatted, clearly for easy read, but also to ensure that nothing is missed. Consultant's approach here is to develop reporting templates and review protocols, so that anyone checking that everything is correct doesn't miss anything either. Section 7.9 relates to complaints and how to handle them. The system is required to exist to handle client complaints, not least because complaints can be exceedingly beneficial if they highlight something that hadn't been realized previously. The consultant's approach here is to help to establish a complaint logging and resolution system, so not just recording their complaints, but what is actually done to ensure the original complaint is compensated for and ultimately never happens again. 7.10 relates to non-conforming work. Here, it's vital to identify and correct errors quickly. Consultant's approach here is to guide the root cause analysis and corrective actions. While 7.11 relates to the control of data and information management. Data must be secure, accessible, and protected against loss. There's no point having carried out multiple tests and then not being able to find the results. The consultant's approach will be to ensure robust IT systems and backup procedures. Relatively straightforward there.